Welcome to Universal Love Law. And if you haven't been here before, welcome. So I want to make this video today all about soul groups, oversouls, and a soul fragment and fragmentation of soul groups. So that's a lot of information, right? But the veil is thinning. So a lot of us have come here and been called here to do work in awakening, the great awakening process. And so that's where this information is coming from. It's coming from a sheer desire of bringing an awareness to the collective. And so let's first give a disclaimer that this information can be taken as complete entertainment for you, or it can be whatever you make it. Now, what resonates, build on that knowledge. Keep researching, understand it, because there's so much to learn about life and the experiences and why we're here. And everyone's not going to agree with me, my beliefs, my philosophy. So those who feel called to it, note that we might be a part of the same soul group and we might have the same purpose in this great awakening process. So when we're talking about a soul group, this is a cluster. It's like a collective of multiple souls that come together with a purpose. What dimensions they originate from, or what dimensions they usually like to experience their lifetimes on, who knows? That's totally up to them. But when certain celestial beings, which are planets, ricochet this desire for change on its Earth, because Earth's planets have chakras, they're living beings as well. When there's a call out, there are a lot of brave souls that come together collectively to transform and to help ascend certain celestial bodies knowledge. So if you see me looking over, don't worry, that is my notes, because I have a problem sometimes of not staying on topic. I noticed that about myself, and so I'm here to fix that. So let's jump on in. First and foremost, what is a soul fragment? So this is a micro level of a macro topic. So looking at it from a very small, perspective, or just a basic perspective. When we're talking about a soul fragment, we're talking about a soul that breaks into pieces. So our soul, we're having an experience. Our soul is the vehicle. Is the instruction, the manual, the essence, whereas the body is the vehicle to fulfill its purpose. So when different experiences causes the soul to fragment. Now, on a micro level, a soul can fragment on Earth. Like a person living can experience a lot of trauma. It can cause the soul to split into multiple particles and pieces. Remember, all it is consciousness. So if a soul splits, it can reincarnate, and that can be it can be very traumatic, and these are people that need spiritual healing. So there's different experiences that a soul individually has, and there's different experiences that a soul group has. So this is when multiple souls come together, and fragmentation is the process that happens when they incarnate for a purpose. So throughout history, throughout eons, we've always connected with other souls for a purpose, a divine purpose, and whatever it is depending on that soul group and what is necessary for that time in history. For instance, there has been times throughout history where wars have happened. So remember, as a collective consciousness, when people are here living on Earth, we're all thinking, living beings. So thoughts are never destroyed. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are energy. So energy can never be destroyed. It can only be transformed, right? So it's very important to know that when certain times in history the collective is thinking on a certain vibration, that vibration is energy, and it goes out to the ethers, it goes out to different dimensions. And this is um, a process in which souls collectively come together with a soul mission and a soul purpose. So souls fragment. So that's, I want to give that disclaimer. There are this individual person that can go through trauma, that can experience like overwhelming traumatic experiences, that, and it could be a war, it could be their heart being broken, it can be a violent death. It's multiple reasons why an individual soul can fragment into multiple pieces. These are people that are incarnated here with a lot of individual problems on a soul level, so they incarnate to fulfill that understanding, that growth, and that learning through those experiences. When the soul group fragments and breaks into multiple parts, it's for a greater purpose. It's not just for the individual, it's for the group. It's not subjective, it's objective. So a lot of people like in soul groups that are incarnated in this time are incarnated as star seeds, star seed healers, all of those things, right? Or the great awakeners. So I would consider myself a part of the great awakening soul group. So the reason why, okay, so what is that basically? So like I said, that's when multiple souls split and they come together in realms that are unseen, unphysical, right? It's where the souls meet to meet with counsel, and they have a reason and why the soul comes to experience. And the souls, they come all together collectively, and they agree where they're going to be born, who are they're going to be their parents. They all know what the mission is. So a lot of people nowadays, they usually find their mission out between like their like late teen, early 20s, sometimes even older in life. But it's rare to have the really young ones. Those are really alpha leaders in the soul group. Those are the people that are awakened at a very young age, and so they're awakening, whatever their purpose is, it starts sooner, right? So so yeah, it's where the soul splits and incarnate separately. So the soul group, they have an understanding, they have a mission, and they incarnate into life, right? And free will is something that can cause the souls to not all fulfill their purpose, because when we incarnate as human beings, we do have free will. That's the law of this universal realm of earth. This being that's alive has those laws like gravity and emotion. We're human beings, right? So ultimately we are multidimensional beings, but when we incarnate here as on an earth experience, we're human beings, and so we have to abide by the laws of this universe. Gravity, emotions, all of those human things, right? And so the main reason why soul groups come together to incarnate as a group is because they need to do a lot of work in a short amount of time, right? So the soul group goes through a fragmentation process for a purpose, usually to heal people, to teach people, to learn lessons. But it's never subjective like an individual soul fragment. So when a individual person needs soul work, they need like a past life regression or some type of soul healing, where they can go to understanding why, their soul broke into pieces, and why they can't remember what their purpose here in life. That's different. That's a subjective approach to a lively experience. Whereas souls that are incarnating here in an oversoul or soul group, they're objectively incarnating here. So they could, due to free will and emotion, if they do not remember, or if they're not awakened, if they don't realize it and they're lost into the matrix of life. Because yeah, there are, that is a aspect of Earth's condition of this at this time right now. There is a lot of programmings and systems that are put in place to control humanity. So it's very important to know that souls, oversoul groups come and incarnate here for a greater purpose, whether it's to heal, whether it's to teach, whether it's to learn lessons for the oversoul. And a lot of times it's to die for the cause. Okay, these are people who die for causes. These soul groups come and incarnate, and they can sacrifice their lives dying for the awakening, or dying for the healing of others, or dying for a greater cause. And so we see it all the time where we all ultimately will all live to die for this cause, whatever it is that a soul group's agreement is. Sometimes it can just be, usually it is to transform the condition of the celestial body, which in this case here, we're on Earth. So just like human beings have chakras, planets do too. And so does the universe. It's as above, so below. The universe and the omniverse, right? So just like our physical body has chakras that we can connect to source with, based, on that, wherever ours are, right? The earth also has that as well. So it's very important to note that when earth's condition is very when Earth is ascending into higher dimensions of consciousness. Of course, we all should know that by now. This is why a lot of people are kind of gearing away from the old ways, because we realize the old ways are not working, right? And we're feeling this yearning and this pulling on our heart chakra, right? That we feel that there's more to life than what we've been exposed. No one's supposed to work and die. Whereas there was a time where souls were, leaving one form of enslavement to enter in a new form of enslavement. But they were so proud, because it was like, now we can work for money and have equal rights and have all of these things, right? But they just realized that they were just going and entering into a new form of enslavement, where it was incentivized. Now you're incentivized slaves, versus we're forcing you to work for us or to do things for us, right? So feelings of, the ways that you can find out if you're a part of a soul group is, of course, like I was saying, feeling as though you may excel really well in this matrix, but it's boring. Like, it's like, really, okay, this is not the only there's more to life. And being really upset with the way things are being controlled on the earth plane. And usually a lot of the people that incarnate as fragments of a soul group here for a purpose and mission, they feel like they're humanitarians. They naturally just want the best for the world, the planet, and they usually don't get caught up into karmic jams, but they can, especially because we all incarnate in different places. So some of the soul group can incarnate in suburbs. Some can incarnate into, inner cities where crimes are high and violence is high, and it's easy to get sucked into the matrix of the way that the world kind of is designed at this time in history. For instance, a lot of our fallen angels are in jail for murder. A lot of our fallen angels are in jail for scam credit card and what else? Some of them, that is a part of their purpose, right? A lot of them are in jail for or have been murdered. Everything has a reason. So when it comes to why people incarnate into more negative places and they get lost along their way, we have to understand that That's why we incarnate as soul groups in the millions sometimes. Okay, so that gets me into going kind of back to the soul fragmentation aspect of it. So when the souls separate, right, like meaning we all come and incarnate in different places. Some soul groups, they have a purpose to heal, so they're healers. Some, they might incarnate in a group of 500 or 500,000, right? So it looks different for everyone. So usually the ones that are here to rebel against old ways or die for causes, because some soul groups, ultimately, these were like your indigo. This is what they call them, the names, right? But there's some very brave soldiers. There are some, excuse me, soldiers. Why I keep saying soldiers? But there's some very brave souls that incarnate to stand up against the system that has been placed on society. And they could get lost along their way, because there's this thing called quantum physics, where there's multiple realities, that there's multiple ways that our lives can play out based on our choices. And we can easily change the direction of the way our life is evolving, if we change the way we think, the way we act, the way we eat, the way we, are. So when a person gets caught up into being associated with their families that are not spiritually inclined, which is fine. Everybody's not here to do the same thing you're here to do. Some people are here to have different experiences, right? But some people can get lost into those moralities like that, and those values like loyalty and down and whatever, right? Like staying true to their cliques or their gangs or whatever. And so they can get kind of lost into these matrices that are formed on purpose. So when you think about the music industry or different big programming matrices, big portals to create belief systems, like Hollywood, it's a big portal for different entities to keep souls in a certain way of thinking. So a lot of our soul group members do get lost along the way based on experiences in life. And it could be because we're a lot of the soul group oversouls that incarnate in multiple soul fragments, that we're all here for this greater cause. We are built with a lot of integrity and a lot of discernment, a lot of spiritual gifts that have to be awoken. So there's ways to awaken our spiritual gifts too, right? So some of us have the gift of foreseeing. Some people can hear things. Some people can feel things. Some people can see things. There's so many natural ways to heal everyone on the planet, but that's not the way in which life is kind of intended at this moment of time. So we're breaking that cycle right now. So when we talk about different portals or different places where different forces are here to control the human race, due to how easy it is to control humans for some reason, especially because we have emotions. So and anything that creates that illusion, like movies and music and social media. Social media is a really big thing right now that's creating a false illusions, that's getting people lost in karmic cycles, and they're not realizing that they're fallen angels. They're here to do work for the soul group. We're here to awaken and to become more in tune with our purpose, our true gifts and abilities. And it doesn't mean that you have to be this super pseudo spiritualist. I can't stand that. Some people, hey, different strokes for different folks. Some people embody it on the physical level. Like me, you wouldn't know I'm super spiritual unless you start to talk to me and you realize that I'm not. I'm no nonsense. Like I don't like small talk. I'm not shallow. And if I'm meeting someone or having an experience with them, it's because they're called to me for a reason. So ultimately, when we're understanding that, you know, we incarnate in such a large group because there's so much work to be done, and we do know, we fully are aware of the conditions of earth, and we're aware of the universal laws. So we know, hey, you know, you might get lost when you get down there, right? When we go down in density into the 3D realm and become physical through that womb, right? We will forget. And so we have little things that we, you know, agree to remind us or get us back on track. But ultimately, it's like sometimes we really could get lost in our life. But that's why the Matrix was designed, to get us lost in a life that is controlled on just survival, which is not always a bad thing, because there's so many lessons to learn. Imagine a soul, an individual soul that wants to incarnate life, have a very small council, right? So when they agree to create a contract and choose a family, they go through that whole between lives kind of thing, in that realm, in that dimension, in that place, in space, or whatever. They sometimes they don't have this feeling like to do this great thing, and they desire to just have some type of soul experience that will elevate them into a higher perspective that is on a micro level, like learning how to take care of oneself. You know, like that can look different for everyone, but like soul groups that come with big missions and big purposes, or come to die for causes and things like that, yeah, they usually we usually discuss it with the council, before council. Hey, you know, it's like, imagine high school, or imagine orientation before you go to school. Like, you're like, everybody's like seeing like, hey, oh, we friends, like we all a group. And it's like, you know, we about to go to school, it's gonna change. Then you go to school and everybody's changed and get into these type of groups, and then, you know, it's different. Or you have, it's, I don't know, I tried to give that analysis, but yeah. So ultimately, that's the reason why the soul group may incarnate in very, very large numbers, up to millions of souls that incarnate with in different religious backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, different essences. And it's because the soul group that I incarnated into, I'm a part of the Great Awakening soul group. So we are here to reestablish ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge, and also to bring forth and normalize understanding spirituality, or metaphysical science. So, and with great power comes great responsibility. So there's misconceptions now. So I told you guys what soul fragmentation is, of an individual soul and an oversoul. Why would a soul group choose to even agree to something and split? Of course, because either there's a very big reason in why they agreed to come here, due to the state of being of a celestial body, or state of being of the humans on the earth. Like, it could be so many reasons. It looks different in different dimensions and different universes, why souls would incarnate as a group on that celestial body, or an individual, why their soul would split in fragments, and they have a lot of soul trauma, and they need to do some soul work, right? To remember and to reconnect with those aspects of themselves. Can you believe that even happens? So we understand that this free will has a major role to play in how many people actually do the work in its totality. Ultimately, we're all dying for the cause, whether it's, you know, a physical death, or whether it's a spiritual death. Like, we're all dying for the cause. sometimes people don't even know that, like, the work we're doing, we live, we know we're gonna go one day. But ultimately, when we go, we know we did what we were supposed to do. That's dying for the cause versus dying for a broken heart. That looks different, right? Dying from a broken heart or dying for the cause. You know? But yeah. So the misconceptions. Okay, so a misconception is that a soul can split, or a soul splitting or separating is bad. So soul fragments, a person splitting, a person's soul splitting due to traumatic experiences, is not a bad thing. There's nothing bad or good in the universe. Nothing is bad or good. Everything's balanced. Everything's in harmony. Everything's divine. Yeah, it is very. I know that sounds like, what? How could you say that when there's people dying and all that, right? Yeah, that is true, and it is bad from that perspective. That it hurts. Like, nobody wants to see anyone hurt or harmed unless they're like really dark. But like, nobody really wants to be around that or see that. But ultimately, when the lifetime, that lifespan's time is up, the oversoul knows all. That's when we are able to say, okay, like, okay, I understand, I learned my lessons, or I did my mission, or I didn't. But sometimes as a human, we have such an extreme range of emotion that we think that it's the end of the world, or like it's the end of the world. Like, no, there's so many different realms of realities and dimensions and universes and places that souls incarnate and reincarnate. And so it's not just the end of creation, like, boom, everything's over. That would never happen, because that wouldn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Now we can destroy ourselves, but ultimately we always evolve out of everything. After life is death, and then there's life again. It's an ever flowing rise and flow, right? Just like when during fall the leaves fall and the tree looks dead, and then it's reborn again. All the life is right back in it. That's life happening in seasons, right? Now, when a tree actually physically dies and gets hollow in the roots and it just falls over, it still becomes back one with the earth eventually and becomes a new life again. And so we have to understand, as above, so below. Everything we see is a replication of what's happening on higher realms too. So yeah, so a misconception is that a soul fragmentation process or of a soul group are just, that's scary or bad. Oh my God, like soul fragments. No, it can be hard, but no, it's a purpose in it. The soul is a map. It carries our instructions and our manual to our soul purpose. And so when it can be hard because an individual soul that's fragmented, they don't really know themselves, right? They can't activate their gifts and they feel lost in this big sea of life. So they need some spiritual healing. There's some healing that needs to take place, right? So I would look into some type of past life regressions, things like that, where you can, hypnotize yourself in, I believe, a beta state. And with time, patience. I actually know someone. I'll put their resource in the description below. I mean, I don't know them like personally, but I know of someone that does past life regressions and healing sessions as well. So yeah, so soul fragments living multiple lives with the same soul essence will be carrying out similar purposes, but can be difficult for some soul fragmented physical incarnations to understand their purpose. So that is a lot, right? So that's basically where the hard part, the misconception is that, this whole process that our souls agree to is bad or it's, you know, scary. It's not. It's a part of evolution. It's a part of experience. Why are humans here? Why are we here experiencing life? Hmm? It's a purpose. It's always a purpose. Anyone that doesn't think it is, then are they're hurt and they need some healing. And a lot of the souls here nowadays, we are evolving collectively. I feel that, but I also feel like the world is in such a crazy transitioning point right now as we enter, well, as we're in the baby stages of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. It's like people are breaking free of those emotional quarrels and they're becoming more logical, but some are too logical. And we're it's like we're questioning, but we don't have the answers because we're not looking for the answers, because we're sidetracked with working and social media and all of these things that are killing us and dumbing us down and keeping us in these karmic loops, when we're actually here to awaken and ascend, and really we're here to come together. But there's, yeah, so I'm gonna let this video go now. I hope that this information is helpful for you. I hope that it has risen some curiosity in your mind. And I absolutely would love to know, what do you guys think of this content and this information? Let me know in the comments. Do you feel like you're a part of a soul group and you're yearning to be connected with others that are like-minded as you? Do you feel like there's something greater to life than this, you know, slaving for the almighty dollar? Do you feel like we have these blindfolds over our eyes collectively that's slowly rising off? What do you think about the information today? Remember, the information that you add to the pot of this content is what creates the collective awareness. And that's when we see synchronicities, and that's when we hear other people talking about the same things we're talking about, and we're like, wait, you know, you connect to your tribe when you ask questions, because what's as within, so without, as above, so below. So whatever you're thinking, whatever you're cultivating within your physical vessel is shooting right out to the ether. So, and you will attract it. So please let me know what you think. Thank you so much, and peace.